is Octave Leap. Innovation, regeneration, and human optimization.
Welcome everyone to the very first Octave Leap gathering of the Crypto Tribe. And for the first time on this podcast, you are now seeing four of us or hearing four of us if you got the audio version. And so I think it's only appropriate to introduce those of our community, the contributors and sort of the visionaries of the community that are here today. Of course, you know me, so I don't need to flap my lips any longer, but I'd love to introduce the others, beginning with Micah, who's got a beautiful background in the magical enchanted forest in which she lives.
Hi everyone, yeah, I'm Micah and I'm so happy to be part of this team. And my role is to make sure people find their way to our server and get started. And if they have questions, especially the beginner ones, I'm just there for them.
Well said, Micah. You really covered off everything. Let's move on to Alex.
Hey everyone, I'm Alex, living out in BC, Canada, and I've been working with a lot of the psychology and mindset stuff on the server, just getting everyone in the right state of being for investing or trading, and have been working with Dave with various beginners group calls and helping beginners get going on their crypto journeys.
Awesome. And also mentioned too that you're an artist and you've dabbled in the world of that three-letter thing we call NFTs.
Yeah, exactly. Got interested in NFTs, just trying to learn how to get a bit more freedom as an artist, and hopefully learn that and teach other artists, and then started trying to understand the market as an investor because of that.
Awesome. And of course, Nicholas.
Hi everyone. I'm Nicholas. So I'm out in Costa Rica at the moment, living here. I am very, very excited to be part of the community. I do some trading technical analysis, and I'm giving signals for some tradings along with David. So I'm out in Costa Rica. We are working on financing a reforestation project. And using crypto to do it. So yeah, exciting, very exciting, and very happy to be here.
I got to say, Nick, that really, 1 second here. Sorry, there is a blender going on in the background. I just had to make sure that was off. I just wanted to say though, Nick, what you shared in the vision for your project is so incredible, because I feel like that's the real spirit of crypto. That's what's possible. You know, if people really align with crypto in a healthy way, it's a way to break free of that old system and actually create the prosperity for a lot of these incredible projects that many of us dream of. And I think that's something that a lot of people feel is they're like, I've got big dreams. You know, I have this vision for reforestation, regeneration of the earth, helping communities. But of course, there's this issue with money, and generally money is allocated for the perpetuation of the old system. You know, that seems to be where most of the money has gone in the past. But now we're seeing a shift in this new generation of people who are adopting crypto and becoming very successful. Of course, some people, buy watches and fast cars and like to look nice and eat fancy meals, but there's a smaller subset, and these are the ones that I find interesting, people like yourself that are using that to do something very needed in the world. And I feel like regardless of what's happened with crypto, especially over the last 9 months or 10 months, the promise of Bitcoin and what it holds hasn't changed. The only thing that's happening is the markets are responding to people's speculation and investor speculation. And of course, we're going to talk about that today. I think it's very important right now to mention where we are in this big economic soup, at this sort of the top of the roller coaster, watching everything sort of unravel economically in the world. And I think I'm just going to open it up to everybody. But how are you guys noticing? Are you guys noticing the effects of the financial system and the economic system beginning to teeter a bit? That's an open question for any of you guys.
Personally, I'm in a pretty small town out in BC, but I'm seeing a lot more houses going up for sale. You're starting to obviously see the impact on my grocery bills. The gas over the summer was ridiculous, but those are the main ways it's hitting home, other than seeing obviously fear in the markets as interest rates go up, and watching on the charts the impact there with cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Yeah, here in Costa Rica, it is very clear that more and more people are getting into crypto, getting interested in crypto. In Central America, following El Salvador, that made Bitcoin a legal tender, cryptocurrencies, I believe it will hold a very big space very, very soon. And I have to say it's mainly younger people at the moment here, but I guess it might spread and really reach a wider range of people. Doesn't matter about their financial situation. I always say, even if you can buy, $10, $100 equivalent of Bitcoin, just do it. I mean, you won't regret it on the long term. So yeah, that's how things are going here.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that too, because it is a lot of younger people who probably have an easier time with the technical side of it and getting started and working with the computer side of it. But we're seeing that there's a lot of older people that are kind of both attracted and repelled to crypto at the same time. There's this technical barrier, and then there's these beliefs that it doesn't work for their mind, it's not for their generation. But we've also seen a lot of success with older people adopting it, and there are ways for people who are later in life to still work with Bitcoin. And people who aren't so technically savvy, it's important that they find a way to work with crypto and Bitcoin that matches them, right? That really fits who, their mindset, their time commitments, right? And, Alex and Micah, I think you two have seen a lot of people who are a little bit older who have been able to navigate that, who've been able to go and even set up like a hardware wallet, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely. It's like amazing how to see how they really want to do it, and they just go for it, and they take the steps, and then if they don't get it the first time, they just take another step, and then it comes eventually. So the technicalities, okay, it's maybe more a problem for them in the beginning, but if they just go through with it, it works.
Yeah, exactly. It's if you can break it down into enough small steps, it's not actually that difficult. Got a good comment here from Pippa saying, I'm cashing in on savings ISA in the UK and waiting to get it put into BTC. And so there's, people might be cashing in on something that a little bit of extra money that they can put into crypto. And of course, when no one's talking about crypto in a positive light, when there isn't that euphoria and greed running through the mass of humanity, that's a pretty good indication it's actually a good time to buy. It's actually, crypto's at a discount right now. And I wouldn't, definitely, we're going to talk about this today. So I wouldn't put all of it in at once, of course, because there's definitely a chance that there could be a sell-off. And we're going to talk about why that might happen in this broadcast today of what might be coming with crypto. And it might not just be related to crypto. In fact, a lot of what's happening right now isn't related to crypto. It's related to this larger economic climate that we're in, that people are feeling. They still haven't announced that the US is in a recession, or a lot of other countries are in a recession, but people feel like it's a recession. They feel that bottom line being hit for them so much harder right now, with increasing energy prices, increasing food prices, increasing fuel prices. Maybe their business, if they're an entrepreneur, isn't the same as it was a year ago. A lot of countries are actually pulling money out of the economy because inflation is something that they're fighting. They all around the globe, and I've talked about this many times on the show, they've been printing a lot of money. In the US, 40% of US dollars were printed over an 18-month period in 2020. And what does that do? Well, it devalues the whole thing. So if you had $100,000 sitting in the bank, you no longer have $100,000 in the bank. You have 85,000, 90,000. So, we're beginning to feel that, and it's felt first, and the data is always a late indicator of that. And of course, Nick and I, we trade quite a bit, and we know how valuable lagging indicators are versus, forward-looking indicators. The forward-looking indicator is how are people feeling? What's the word on the street? Because that gives us a snapshot of that. Also, too, we use a little bit of astrology. And, I had Gary Cousins on the show last week with some pretty interesting things to say about the NASDAQ and Bitcoin and what the future this fall holds for them. Because astrology is something that, we use in the mix. And in fact, probably the most successful trader out there, W.D. Gann, he encoded several of his books with the insights he learned from astrology that he used to get very, very high results in trading. So I like that the esoteric side of it actually has results and isn't just theory. But I also wanted to say too that, right now where we sit with crypto is very highly correlated with the stock market because last year, actually, Nick, do you want to pull up the Bitcoin chart so I can actually kind of show everybody on a long time frame? Okay. What happened last year? It's quite fascinating because this has never happened before in Bitcoin's history. And there was several events that caused this to happen. So let's pull up that chart.
Let's go on the Bitcoin. Do you want to start on the monthly?
You could do monthly, yeah.
Yeah. So the monthly.
I just want to show that double top thing that formed, right?
Yes.
Where what happened was there was a big run up in 2020, and it was emphasized too by everybody being at home and looking for other income streams. And then it crashed last year around May. All of crypto kind of took a hit, but then it did something really weird, and it bounced back up to the same level again. And that's actually when a lot of investor money, big money, institutional money came in and started buying crypto. I've got a thesis around this in that the promise of Bitcoin and what Bitcoin does, it can't be controlled or manipulated. It's rather immutable in that sense, but they can try to buy it and they can try to manipulate the price. They can't manipulate the protocol. And so can we add this to stream? Okay, here we go. So here, what we see is we see this big run up that happened where Bitcoin basically went up in price. It's even more fancy on the linear chart, but we'll deal with the log chart.
Yeah, if you look at it on the linear chart,
there we go.
What we have.
So we saw this relatively quiet period from 2017 when it was really popular. And then all of a sudden it went up like crazy, took a big dive. And typically what happens is, as you can see here back in 2017, if you just want to hover your mouse over the top of 2017, we can see that, typically it just does this one thing and then it kind of comes back down again. But here it went up again in 2020, went up big, it then sold off. And that second peak there, that's where that institutional money came in. And in October of 2021, they allowed big money to basically bet on the price of Bitcoin. And so big money could get in there and manipulate it. And so they sent the Bitcoin price down. They like to do this. They like to short things so that they can buy at a low price and they can scare all the retail hands like you and I out of the picture. And so that's where we sit now. And Bitcoin currently is sitting at a very precarious place where it's come back down to very close to what it was at the top in 2017. And this is also too, at the same time that Bitcoin is in an environment where they're aggressively raising interest rates and the stock market is teetering. And we're looking at a more widespread economic problem occurring. And Bitcoin basically is at the mercy of it. In many ways, they say crypto might be having its .com moment right now. If anyone remembers the .com bubble, basically it was kind of like crypto where, if you have a project, they just start throwing money at it. If you had .com beside your name, they would basically throw money at you without a business plan. And the same thing was happening with crypto. There's all sorts of these crazy projects that were out there, like the dog poo coin, like even beyond dog coin, there's this poo dog coin and like green Shiba Inu and Elon Doge Mars, and just these garbage coins that were being inflated because of this mass hysteria around crypto. And of course, has to be a winter period to cull all of the nonsense out of the system, right? Alex, you know about this with some of the NFT projects, right? How ridiculously overpriced some of those NFTs were.
Yeah, we were seeing NFTs going for hundreds of millions of dollars, quite literally, US during the peak of this. And then typically in the middle of a normal cycle, when the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum goes down, people switch over to NFTs for a while and they really pump. But in the prolonged down period, you've just seen the price of all of them start to collapse, and start seeing project founders kind of walk away from the project, the soft rug pull, and yeah, just a complete culling, as you say, in that respect as well. Probably a lot more aggressively.
Like the art wasn't very good. In fact, I'm going to show you guys what people were paying hundreds of millions of dollars for. This shouldn't happen. This is not $100 million picture here we're looking at. I'm pretty sure, somebody could easily make a picture like that, in 10 minutes. So, I mean, it was more about the fascination with the technology than it was about art. And in many ways, I think the NFT technology is rather fascinating, but, this first wave of it, we saw mass hysteria. We saw maybe an overreaction. And of course, all that's being flushed out of the system. But Bitcoin might actually go lower than it typically has in the past. In the past, it goes down about 85%. But if we're having a .com moment and there's a larger economic condition that could be affecting that, we might see lower prices than that. Would you agree with that, Nick?
Yes, yeah. I might just show a couple of things on the Bitcoin chart, if
please,
if we have a couple of minutes.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to go back onto the logarithmic, because on the long time frame for me, it's much easier to see the price action. So here you can see the movements. You can see those nice big waves.
That's the growth of Bitcoin over time, just for the newbies. That's the price increase.
Yeah. Here in October 2011, we were at $2.20. Okay. All the way up to $69,000. So that's that's not negligible. But what we can see here in every bear market, so we had one here, another one here, and then we can assume that we are in another one here from the top. But what we can see is each time, if we use the EMAs, the 8 EMAs, so 8 period EMA and 21 period EMA, each time we had a crossover, this is a lagging indicator, okay? So it's going to give you a bit later on what's going on. But to base our analysis on the past, which is quite interesting to see, you can see that here we had the first cross here, okay? And it took roughly a year, 11 to 12 months to go back to the same level, okay? Here, we had the second cross here, and it took around 6 months, okay, to go back to the same level. So I would love, I'm not saying that will happen, but I would love that history repeats itself and actually divide by 2, which means we're 3 months in under the cross here, okay? So hopefully, I'm not saying that will happen, but hopefully we will see something happening now. Maybe something similar to that, a leg up and then a leg back down to then go for a proper leg up. But that's what I wanted to see. That's what I wanted to show is those 3 points. And I believe now we might be very close to another time where we might see a little pump up and then another down and then back up. And it's quite clear on that logarithmic chart here.
It's interesting. Charting, it's basically a factual representation of mass psychology.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you don't need news. You don't need any of these other factors in there because it's all written in the charts. Essentially, it's fascinating when one gets into it. But there are two things that are possible. I feel like we're in for some a bit of trouble, economic trouble this fall. But what that may do, because it's inflation related, is people might realize Bitcoin is the solution to inflation, and Bitcoin is something that has a promise. It has a fixed supply. There's 18 million Bitcoin available right now. 14 million of those are in the hands of people who aren't going to give them up. So therefore, it becomes over time, as you saw in Nick's chart here, like over time, Bitcoin becomes a very valuable thing. However, it kind of gets overbought, and then it has to take a little bit of a breather. So there is a little bit of wavering from that average. But you can see if Nick were to draw an average line through here, it would actually be going up very sharply.
Oh yeah.
So, the idea of something that where you can't just print more of it is a very enticing solution to a world where we're literally drowning in money printing, and that money printing goes to the wrong people in the wrong places. It finds itself in the hands of people who are already rich. I was just reading today that I think $1.7 trillion of wealth was taken out of the average person's savings over the course of the pandemic, but the wealthy grew by 1.9 trillion. So it was just redistributed from the poor to the rich. Whereas with Bitcoin, it doesn't really matter who you are. Everybody's on a level playing field. And so that is very enticing for people who want a different economic reality. And I know it's tricky right now. I mean, a lot of people are like, well, I don't have extra money to put into crypto. I don't have extra money to do it. But, as Micah and Alex have learned, have you guys seen with beginners, with people who are just learning and they only have maybe $100 or something, do you see some empowerment? Do you see them lighting up a little bit when they go and they make that first purchase and they stick it somewhere safe?
Yeah, I see.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nicholas.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Definitely see that, and then also see the importance of kind of setting the foundation. So learning the technology, figuring out how to on-ramp, how to move funds around, DeFi wallets, hardware wallets, these things where you learn it with a small amount of money. You learn your risk profile, your strategy, and then you see it kind of ramp up over time from there. So even if it is in this down market, it's a nice time to kind of get in and learn those basics before things pick up potentially down the road.
Yeah. And I think, the EU is pushing for CBDCs right now. And a lot of people are waking up to the fact that that reality may be extremely restrictive for their ability to do things. The right to transact is going to be severely compromised with the introduction of CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. And so ordinary people may be more and more motivated to get in, which could lead to this thing happening that Nick's talking about, that Bitcoin does go up. However, the other side of the coin too, it's sort of, we're at a crossroad. It could be temporarily Bitcoin gets brought down by the larger collapse of the stock market, and especially the tech stocks and the NASDAQ, and that in the short term, there's a little bit more pain to come. And so, people are probably looking for a definite answer here. And the wisest thing to say is we don't know yet. And that we just have to follow, and we just have to watch the signs in the charts and in the news and in the, everything that's out there. And that's pretty much what we do, is we stay on top of it in our community, and we give people updates, and we don't make big promises because we can't. Anybody who talks too definitively about where things are going is probably somebody who's operating on emotion and hope. And what's the usual outcome when that happens? I've been there myself. Look, I was very, very emotionally attached to crypto last year, and I had to learn some hard lessons along the way. So, I mean, it's a natural phase we all go through, but we have to learn beyond that, right? Because what happens, Nick?
Well, I wanted to add one thing about the Bitcoin chart, which is really becoming our index for crypto. That's how I see the Bitcoin chart now. It's my index for crypto, to have an idea where the crypto market is going. It's still correlated a lot with the stock market, which, it's how it is at the moment. Hopefully that will change as well. And again, earlier when I was saying, hopefully, you know, that's the thing. We can only say maybe, hopefully, maybe it will retrace a bit, have another pump, go back down, and then go for the next bull run. But again, we have to keep in mind that twice already Bitcoin retraced of around 85%. Okay, and we're not there yet. 85% from 69,000 brings us to between 10 and 11,000. So that's still in the, you know, that still might happen. I'm not discounting that at all. But what I'm seeing on the big picture is, even if that happens, to me, it doesn't really matter on the long term. I know that crypto will go higher, and I know that it's going to be a great store of value. So yeah, that's what I wanted to add.
Pippa's on fire today. She's saying that this is what's pushing me. I don't want to be dictated to my own wealth at the very time we're thinking about retiring. Yeah, we want to have options. We want to basically be able to decide our own life. And I'd like to welcome to the conversation my beautiful partner, Vanessa, who does astrology for us. And we use astrology in our assessments of things. And actually astrology, it's not an exact indicator, but it can really help us. And the astrology is telling us some very interesting things looking forward, right, Vanessa?
Hello, everyone. Yes, so I actually would like to talk about some of the predictions for September, if that's okay, Dave.
Absolutely, go for it.
Okay, and maybe it'd be also quite cool to pull up the charts. I know that you can show the moon cycles.
Yeah, I can pull that up in TradingView.
Just so that we can just show what tends to happen on a new moon and a full moon. So
yeah, just give me 1 second here. You'll notice on my favorites, I have the moon phases. Right there. Easy access. Go for it. Do you want me to talk about it, Vanessa? Or
yes, you can also touch on the new moon and the full moons. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. It's a weak correlation, but you can kind of see something interesting happen, especially through time, that the full moon, which is down here, which is actually looking kind of like a new moon, and the new moon, which is at the top, this happens because the full moon almost pulls the price down. Now, it's not exact because there's other factors that can get involved, but we call this a local bottom around the full moon and a local top around the new moon. And actually, we've been giving a good strategy for people to slowly buy Bitcoin over time, buying on the full moon and then taking profits on the new moon. And there's a couple more things to it, but you'll see that if you didn't have any other indicators on at all, that it's not a bad correlation. It actually, it's not exact. You can see here, this is higher than this one, but you can see right over here very clearly, this one is a top, that one's the bottom, this one's the top. So you can put the moon cycles over because the moon influences human emotion. It influences us. You know, it affects the tides. It affects water. And as a result of that, it affects the water and the emotions within us, I believe. Did you want me to say anything more about that, Vanessa?
So yeah, I just wanted to just share for September. So we have a full moon coming up on the 10th of September. So the trend is from about now till the full moon is going to be a downward trend. And some of the predictions, I just want to pull my notes up though. But around the 9th of September, we have Venus that will make a trine to Mars. There's also Mars will make a trine to the North Node, and also Mars will make a sextile to the South Node. So those are really good transits. So I expect to see a pump, Bitcoin having an upward trend on the 9th. And there will also be, which is before the full moon, and there will also be a upward trend on the 5th of September, which there will be Venus will be opposite, transiting Venus will be opposite Bitcoin's Venus, which is a beautiful, nice aspect. And the Sun will also trine the the transiting Sun will trine Bitcoin's Sun. So I expect to see, even though the trend is, even though the overall trend is moving downwards, there might be a pump around the 5th of September and before the full moon on the 9th of September. And then obviously after the full moon, it's normally what they call local bottoms. So Bitcoin will be at its lowest before it goes up again. But otherwise, September is, not the greatest month in terms of astrology. Lots of aspects that are not looking favorable for Bitcoin, but some nice aspects, as I mentioned, on the 5th and 9th of September.
Cool. Do you mind muting yourself when I'm talking, babe?
Yes.
Thank you. So there you have it. That's your high vibe weather forecast for Bitcoin. And of course, like any weather forecast, you do have to take that with a bit of caution, as it's imperfect. However, sometimes when I followed the astrology, if you learn to interpret it differently than, and not so literally, it can kind of give you indications of sentiment, because that's really what it's talking about. It's talking about the effect that people are going to have in the way that they perceive, in this case, Bitcoin. But you can, in financial astrology, you can run it against any index, and that's the little Phoenix Rose there. Our daughter is, she's probably going to have being involved in crypto. She's probably going to do something that I don't understand at some point, because this new generation is just incredibly talented.
Oh, and there's one more transit that I wanted to actually speak about as well. Just worth mentioning that transiting Mars, the planet Mars in the sky, is going to be entering Gemini. And it's going to do this dance of going forward and backwards in Gemini from 8 degrees to 25 degrees for 7 months. So just for those of you who want to know what does this mean, Mars in Gemini. So we actually all become like masterminds when Mars moves through Gemini, because Mars is the planet that rules action and motivation. And when he transits through Gemini, the sign of the mind, Gemini's air, it's our brains that are ignited with passion and drive. So we might have a lot of power to come up with like really brilliant ideas, really thinking innovative in like new, fresh ways. Phoenix. And we also have the ability to take action on them and turn them into a reality. So it's awesome to use this time for 7 months up until March 2023 with Mars in Gemini. So it's quite it's a really nice transit, and it can be used in a beautiful way. Because as I said, Gemini is also about communication. So great time for writing. Also, though, on the negative side is, Mars can be easily tempered, and Gemini is quick with words. So there also could be explosions in one's communication as well. So when it goes retrograde, that's a time for us to take some time to reflect back on these new fresh ideas and innovations and new experiences that have come up, and to determine if they are something that we really do want to take forward, because Mars can sometimes act impulsively, so, and Gemini as well. So when it goes retrograde, to take the time to ponder and to take some perspective on your ideas for the future. rises in the crypto space during this transit as well.
Yeah, I think over that 7-month period, Mars and Gemini is a good time to be working with technology and learning about technology. And we might see new technologies arise for better or for worse. I mean, I think there's always two sides of the coin when it comes to tech. But yeah, very interesting. So if people have had resistance with this in the past with learning crypto, they might find all of a sudden that there's new energy to actually engage it and to learn a little bit about it. And I really like bringing in the astrological flavor to it because, it isn't just about numbers and it isn't just about graphs and charts. I mean, those are very cool and I definitely love that, but it is about, a larger movement, and everybody interprets things differently. Some people look at charts and they go, and then other people, they hear that they can just buy on a moon cycle and they're very interested in crypto all of a sudden. Whereas people like Nick and I, we love looking at charts and we love, figuring out this mass sentiment and what might happen next based on price action. So everybody's got a way to work with it. And I think that's the important thing to emphasize here, is that there's always a way. You guys see that too, right? With new people, Alex and Micah, that, there's always a way for new people if they're willing.
Absolutely. It's just important to tailor the strategy to who you are as a person, what your actual goals are, what your lifestyle is, rather than just listening to someone and saying, oh, they trade and make a lot of money, so that's what I'm going to do. Or they like NFTs, so I'm going to go into that. But really taking the time to look inward and say, what do I want? And how does my crypto journey kind of fit in with that?
Very well
just
said.
starting and trying things out and see what works for them. It's the only way to know.
With small amounts of money when you're experimenting, of course.
Of course.
Yeah. Great. I do want to talk a little bit about the mindset stuff, but I just wanted to turn it over to Nick and see if there's anything else he wanted to say regarding, price action, price predictions, or, what Bitcoin might do before that.
Yes, well, I covered most of it now with and yourself as well. It's just I just want to remind everybody that that I believe crypto is in for a long time, and I believe that it will totally change the way people see money. Because that's an important thing. Money, as much as you want to, as much as we would like money to not be important, sometimes it is still important, because that's how it all works at the moment. So I believe that Bitcoin and crypto, I'm saying Bitcoin as a general cryptocurrency, will change the way we transact. We change the way we use value for services, for goods, for the way we exchange things. And I think it will be great and beautiful. But along the way, there will be moments that are, let's say, uncomfortable. Okay, so when you see a 69,000 down to maybe 11, 10,000, it's not comfortable at all on the short term. But we have to stay focused on the long term, and keep that as a long-term objective. I believe day trading, swing trading is great to make some money along the way, but I think the objective is a long-term one.
I agree with that, because I think actually the objective is to keep Bitcoin in the hands of people who want a better future, of we the people, and not let the institutions take it over and turn it into another financial instrument that serves the existing financial infrastructure. And that's really where we're at right now, because they want to, they see Bitcoin as something they can't control, so they can only try to own as much of it as possible. And they do that by tricking people. If you notice the news usually tells you when Bitcoin is soaring and about to crash, they usually tell you Bitcoin's going to keep going in this direction and don't miss out. And then when Bitcoin goes down in price, they start to tell everybody it's going to zero. And Bitcoin has officially died 490 times, according to the mainstream media. So you can't always believe what you see. You have to remember who owns these media companies. The people who own these media companies are usually very rich people who are also investors who can manipulate markets to make more money. There's a reason the rich become richer, and it's because they have the power to manipulate mass sentiment. So you might hear Bitcoin's going to zero and it might go down in price, but that's not a reason to sell. You know, I feel people who understand crypto have so much more conviction about its future because they know the promise of it.
Yeah, and something about the news as well, which I've seen now over and over again. When we have the news that has been a little bit manipulated, or that they want the general public to think something, I can see that technical analysis on a chart won't be affected by the news on the long term. It's something that can have an impact on the very short term, like on the Discord, on our Discord, when I talked about the BNB trade, that CPI after that did a little pump on BNB and all crypto, but it didn't last. It didn't last at all. And the main chart reading told us where it was all going at that time. That's why I'm trying to stay confident in the technical analysis. Look at the news, because on the short term, it can have a big impact. But for the long run, news doesn't make it for me.
That's an interesting thing about charting, because charting is a reflection of what everybody's doing. So the people who know first, and often this can happen with this data, it can actually be leaked first to institutions, or they can get it before it's released publicly. So if you try to stay on top of the news, the charts already have the news priced in, which is very, very important. One thing that recently happened was there was a big sell-off on Friday because there was a statement made by the US Fed, and people are getting scared and they think the stock market's going to crash right now and that crypto is going to crash right now. And I look at that and I say, well, interestingly enough, the US Treasury bonds, where smart money goes, they didn't do much. So smart money is not putting their money into bonds. They're waiting to see. They think there's more to the story. And there is. I mean, we have the US job numbers coming out at the end of the week. And if the job numbers come out and they're showing that there's been a loss in the labor market or weakness, then we might see a little bit more up. We don't know. It's moving one step at a time, looking in the right places, following the charts, and positioning ourselves alongside that. So I'm going to turn it over to Alex to chat a little bit about the psychology of crypto, because whatever the stock market does, crypto responds threefold. So the roller coaster is even higher when you're in crypto than it is if you're in other forms of investment.
Yeah, thanks. One of the things that comes to mind, just that's pretty important for this time right now in the crypto market, is an idea called loss aversion, where basically our minds are more focused on the loss or pain than they are on pleasure or gain. So it's important. It's an evolutionary trait that kept us alive as humans. It's why we're here. But in the crypto market, our lives aren't at risk, but it still acts up. It's still in the background and starts to flare up in these times. So unfortunately, what happens is if we're facing losses, we become more irrational, which kind of speaks to a bit of what both you and Nicholas were just mentioning. And so something I think is important is focusing on avoiding something that you see in gambling called chasing the pot. But it's basically trying to double down and make more aggressive trades, more aggressive investments to try and recoup losses. So you're focused on this loss and you say, no, I need to recoup this. I need to get back to where I was. And so you start making more and more aggressive decisions, more rational decisions, take on higher and higher risk. And so we don't want to be like a gambler who's on a losing streak trying to get back to square one. We want to be a calm, calculated investor. And so just a couple tips on that would be careful not to check price action too frequently if you're noticing you have a very high emotional attachment to it. If you want to set stop losses or price alerts, that's great. But if you're noticing you're constantly pulling out your phone and pulling up CoinGecko or TradingView and seeing where the price is, you're going to notice you're just going to stay in that that state of being quite a bit longer. You're going to stay in that fear state, and which is not somewhere where we make rational decisions. And the other piece is just find what makes helps you get back to center if you do see those emotions going wild. So for me, that's meditating, it's spending time in nature, it's doing art. But whatever that is for you, whether it's dancing, music, um, be sure when you're making decisions to be coming from that centered place and not from that part of the brain that's hijacked by fear. If you are seeing those emotions run wild, um, and that just feels like a really important point during these times when you are seeing these big losses or you are seeing this sustained dip, again from 69,000 to under 20K or possibly down just above 10K. It's really important.
Yeah, because in the long term, you're very, very likely to, if you have that money in Bitcoin or some of the major altcoins, to see a lot higher. But in the short term, you have to deal with the emotions of looking at those numbers and looking at that loss. I'll also add to it, though, that the people that are new should only be making very small trades. Even master traders right now are only making small trades. You know, most of their money is sitting on the sidelines. They're waiting to see what happens, because this crossroad that we've been referring to in this call, it could be quite drastic. It could go drastically lower, or it could be, you know, this recovers quite aggressively. But the signs, it's still not there yet to the point where we can make that decision with certainty. So, you know, Nick and I are both saying in our Octave Leap Crypto Community, we're educating people constantly. And when we do give trades, it is only a small amount so that people don't have that loss aversion and they don't incur major losses where then they get into that emotional downward spiral of chasing the money they lost to try to make it back. Because let's face it, if you make money, and I have made a lot of money in crypto, and that money's already spent. So when you start to lose that money or something happens, you have no idea how to respond because the emotions get the best of us. And, you know, I'll say that there. I had to learn the hard way. And nowadays, you know, I can relax a lot more with my trades because I just make smaller trades. And if they don't work out, they don't work out. And if they do, great.
It reminds me the time, because I've been trading for the best part of 15 years now. Not in crypto. In crypto, that's a couple of years. And it reminds me when I met you, David. Actually, the first time we had a one-to-one together, and I was in that zone at this time. I was in exactly that zone where I was trying to work on my fear. So I was very fearful when I was entering a trade. Suddenly, I don't know why. Well, now I know why. we worked that out. But at the time, suddenly I could feel a fear. I could feel being emotional. And that didn't work out at all. When you start being emotional, you make mistakes. You tend to either jump into a trade without the right analysis, or you tend to stop your trade way too early because you're afraid and you want to get that profit. And it makes you don't make money on an emotional mindset when you're trading. It doesn't work, never works. That's what I wanted. And yeah.
For the record, trading just means buying. You know, if you could be a trader that trades very long term, like you buy your Bitcoin at one price and expecting it to change in price, and you only do it once, it's still a trade. So people that are getting into crypto, you're still trading some sort of money for some sort of cryptocurrency, right? And if you go all in, you know, and that's, you know, this is a great comment here. I'm just going to pull it up. And Pippa, you're just so vocal today, and I'm not picking on you in any way. I think this is really great, and this is a great thing. She's cashing in and waiting to get it put into BTC. That's awesome, and I highly encourage it. Don't do it all at once. You know, do it slowly over time. You'll find that it works out so much better in your favor, because then you get to see, you can take advantage of, you know, dips in price. If you go all in at once, you're basically saying, I am certain this thing's going to go up in price, because if it goes the other way, I don't know what to do. That's the response we all have, right? And a lot of people get overconfident, and when they get overconfident, the markets have an amazing ability to whip them around a bit.
I think on that note, it's important for people to just be able to recognize when they are in that fear, when they are in that emotion. we all talk about fear and greed with the index of running this market, but it's made up of individuals. And so when you look at yourself, try and find, how does it feel in the body? What does your mind do? How are you acting differently when you are in that fear state? And take a step back. And then the other thing that I like to do is it's like a journal. It's from trading, a trading journal. But basically, when I'm entering a trade or investment, I make a note of why I'm doing that, my rationale behind it, how I'm feeling, how I'm viewing it, and then have another list that's essentially learning from mistakes. So you're constantly updating your strategy. You're learning from the process, and you're not just kind of flying all over the map trying to hope for the best or time it perfectly.
Yeah, I like that. I keep a trading journal too, because we have to devise our own rules, so what works and what doesn't. And a trading journal is an excellent way to have recollection if you make a bad mistake, and you don't want to make that mistake again. I'm sure, if we make a bad mistake, it gets imprinted on us for a little while regardless. But, if it's in writing, hopefully it can be a little mistake first.
Trading journal is it's a must have. You cannot trade without trading journal, or you cannot trade for a long time without one of those. And it's good for, it happened to me where I was feeling a bit down. I was like, I keep losing trades at the moment, and it's easy to get into this mindset, which is not good. And the trading journal helped me very often, because then when I start seeing this, I look at my trading journal, and it's going to give me the reality. It's going to tell me exactly what happened. It's gonna be a reality call, because I'm going to look at it, and either I'm going to be like, yeah, you are actually in a big losing streak. What's going on? And then I can look a bit deeper into my trades and try to analyze what went wrong. But most of the time, I look at it, I'm like, well, actually, so far this month, I'm up 5, 6, 10%. So yeah, I've lost 5 trades in a row, but I'm still up 10% this month. So it's not that much of a big deal. It happens. And it keeps you going on as well. It keeps you motivated.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Nick. It's really good to hear all the different perspectives on how people interact with trading journals. I think at this point, though, we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to talk a little bit about some trades that we're currently taking. And I think Nick's going to share one, and I'm going to share one. And then, we'll give you kind of a path forward for everyone listening to this, with some things you can do and some exciting things that are coming up in our Octave Leap crypto world. So, Nick, do you want to go first, or should I go first with a trade you want to share?
I can. I think I've got everything ready there. So yeah, I can start. If you.
All right. Why don't you lead in then?
Okay. So I'm going to share my charts on TradingView, and we are going straight into BNB. So BNB has been. I don't know. It's been. I had fun trading BNB lately. I notice as well that that's what happens with me. Sometimes I get on a coin and I like it for a while, and then it changes, and then I look at another one. And but BNB has been quite good lately. So I'm on a daily here. Okay, so it's a daily. I'm just going to talk about the last trade we took on the Discord.
In our crypto community, we did this as a group. It was fun.
Yeah, so that was an interesting one, and you can see really the trade signal was here on the 9th of August. Okay, and to start with, I had my stop loss a bit too low, and that was the sort of what I call the CPI manipulation here. Those weeks here, the scam weeks, as we can call them. And this week for me stopped me out. Okay, so it stopped me out. It was at some point I couldn't really follow the trade, and it stopped me out. But I was very confident into my analysis here, following that shooting star candlestick.
Sorry to interrupt. Nick is actually taking a short position, so he profits off of it going down in price as opposed to going up, which we teach everybody how to do in our community, and it's actually very good because you get even less emotional if you know you can make money on the way down.
Yes, sorry, I forgot to mention that. I tend to just jump into the right into it. So yes, that was a short position. So we are making money on the way down. And so stopped out here. I was still confident that that will work out, as it worked out around here as well. You know, we are pretty much in the same, in exactly the same setup. And re-entered the position, took some profits around 295, which was announced in our trading analysis, technical analysis, sorry, on the Discord. And then I was like, there is still some room for 275. So I was looking at the price range 275, and it didn't quite happen right there. Didn't quite happen. Was a bit front run by not a lot, like by $1.
How did that feel when you woke up and you
something.
saw it just missing my hair?
That felt, I was still confident. It must touch that point. And why I was so confident is because it was a point that's been tested and really, you know, rejected already once here and one here on big wicks. And then became a resistance here again on a big wick on the edge of the channel. And I really saw that 275 as something that it should hit. He was pushing it. I had only 25% left of the position. It was just, you know, it was a bit more for fun and to see if the analysis would go to the end. Went back up, and then my call was, if I have a clear close above both EMAs here, I will close the position and just, you know, keep it at that. Here, to me, that was not a serious. It happened here almost, and then happened again here. But that, you see, it's really, if you zoom in, the daily close is like pretty much on the line. It's not clear enough to be a signal to close, plus a big wick up that came back down. And it finally happened. And it showed here the mindset is very, very important. You have to be trusting your analysis. And if that had closed a bit higher here, I would have closed it, and maybe it wouldn't have gone back down. Maybe it would. I don't know. But when I'm in a trade, I try to just follow my analysis and stick with it. So it did happen. Now BNB is getting very interesting. I will be looking at this zone here, which is very, very important. We have a lot going on around there. Okay, so we have both EMAs that now are acting as resistance, both of them. Here, you know, we had a big resistance on the 8 EMA, and then that week up to the 21 EMA. Okay, along with this box, which is now turning into a resistance box, which I should change really, and I will change it. But that now becomes a resistance box. So at the moment, I'm not taking any trade again on BNB. I'm looking at this zone. I'm looking at what happens here. Again, remember, when swing trading, patience is your ally all the time. Patience. You want to see the setup you are looking for, and once the setup is here, then you can start thinking about opening a trade. So what will happen for me? It's very simple here. It's either we cross at some point both EMAs and have a clear close above this resistance box. In that case, I will be looking at a long, not a huge position, but a long at least to those levels. Okay, with stop loss that are quite wide, because we have some news coming, and the news might create some scam weeks, as we call them. So I will be very careful. I will be, when I see something clear, I will be announcing it obviously in our Discord, server. And yeah, but I'm looking very closely at this zone, and I think BNB still has quite a lot to give us, either for long or short. We can make money when it goes up. We can make money when it goes down, but with being cautious and being sure, you know, have as many tips as possible before we enter a trade to have the probability on our side.
I call it the BNB saga because Nick and BNB have been in this relationship with each other, and I think Nick eventually he's like, okay, fine, I was right, and he was, but we had a little bit of temporary noise happening here.
Yes,
that
yes.
it did send us all for a little bit of a what, but I think Kun brought up on our chat. He's like, well, should I get back in? And I think we all said, yeah, let's get back in. I mean, this isn't over yet.
Yeah. This so BNB is I'm looking at it. I'm looking at this zone, and I will be announcing when I see something clear. There is no point announcing just to announce something. At the moment, to me, I'm still undecided. As soon as I see a clear signal, then I will make sure I post it. It's going to be either long or short. But BNB is the BNB saga has been interesting, and it's been and actually what Alex is saying, that's a very good example of the trading mindset. When you trust that your analysis is right, and don't fear and don't really freak out and stop out of your trade when you would have lost quite a bit here. And here, if you were like, all right, I was totally wrong, then you would have missed the full trade. So being stopped out happens. It happens. The strength is to see that we can still be in the trade, and make and bring home some money. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. And it's been really fun to take that trade with you and to get educated along the way. I think a lot of people are learning about trading by doing it, because when they're in it, they're like, there's money on the line, and I get to learn. But it's nice to have a bit of guidance with expertise. And here I'm going to share a trade that I'm in, and it's not trading on the moon cycles. That's just the one that was up before. But I'm going to take a look here at Solana, which I've been in on, and I'm just going to get rid of my moon cycles in the medium. There we go. So I had an interesting relationship with Solana here, where I bought about 5% of my portfolio, which is a big position, but I could really see it was starting to gain strength. And I knew there was news that came out. There was what we call fear, uncertainty, and doubt that was going to be temporary. So this was, everything else was pumping, and Solana was kind of oversold, or it was pretty far down. So I took a position in there, and it went up almost immediately. And so it had a nice 17% gain, and I sold half of it. I thought there was a little bit more upside, but I wanted to be careful. And then, of course, crypto started selling off, as it does, and it was holding up nicely here. So I bought a little bit more, and then it cascaded down. And now we can really see how oversold all of this is. This is a pretty, we're still holding this, the 2017 high. And I think there's a lot of people that are going short right now. And of course, when most people do something, the market does the opposite. So I actually bought a little bit more. So my average price is sitting around here. And I think what we'll see is we'll probably see a retest of this line, this what was support now becoming resistance. And so I'm looking to take profits here. And in the end, it will be about a 25% profit on that trade, which is quite healthy. Now, if it does break down, which is totally possible, I'm happy to leave the trade and keep what I've gained here and take a small loss for that. But that's showing you too that sometimes we end up taking a loss, and we just have to be able to walk away from it and stop, at some point, stop trying to average our trade down. But this one here, I still have confidence in, and I think right now it's still an exciting trade, and I think there's still a bit of upside. I might take profit just along here, maybe a little bit there, and then the rest here, just because we're in a little bit of an unpredictable market. And I think the time is running out a little bit on crypto. I do still see more downside. So we're in a bit of a time count right now. So I just wanted to take a little bit of time and explain some of the trades that we're taking right now and how they go, and just be honest with them too, because ultimately, we're not going to win every trade. There's going to be complexities. There's going to be, fake stop outs. There's going to be, it didn't go the way we thought, and we may have to add a little bit more to the trade to kind of bring our average price down a bit. That's different from, what Alex was talking about, where we're saying, oh no, I'm not going to leave and I'm going to, just double down. No, I'm buying at a certain level. I'm buying at a level where there is support. So here, this is a level where there's support. This is a level where there's support. I'm not just buying emotionally and randomly because I'm angry. If it does break that support, yeah, it's quite likely it's going to go a lot lower, and there's no sense in trading. But I'll take that risk because it's a calculated risk. So yeah, it's been really fun to be having this Octave Leap Crypto Community. And I just want to say that the actual Discord server is open for anyone to join. So anybody can go. The link is in the description. Micah, would you be so kind as to post the link to the Discord server, the invite link in the chat? So this link that she's posted here is to actually join the community. And if you need instructions on setting up Discord, it's all there. But we have a subscription basis. We have a full rate and a supported rate for people who, might need a little bit of support in their membership. But I have to say this: if you're involved in crypto right now and you're feeling a little bit nervous, you probably want some guidance. And the knowledge and education that we provide will save you a lot more money in potential downside, or potentially help you build your crypto portfolio much higher than the cost of the monthly membership. And that's really where the value is that for supporting us for our time in providing psychology updates, for Micah's time in supporting the community, for Nick's time in providing technical analysis, and for Vanessa sitting down and doing very detailed astrological predictions. And Kuhn, who's not here today, keeping us updated on the news. It's really allows us to value our time appropriately and put everything you need to know about crypto in one place and do it with a high vibe frequency. So that's why we've set this up for people, because we know there's a lot of people right now in crypto that if it goes any lower and they get really scared, they don't know what to do. So when you're with a community, when you're with a group of people, you can stay in it, you can move with the currents of crypto, and you can learn along the way. And Pippa just said, I just joined. That's great, because you're at an amazing place with cashing in your savings, wanting to go into Bitcoin. I think you're ripe to learn the right way. And you might be the example, the unicorn example of somebody who said, I'm going to do it right, and I'm not going to make all those mistakes that I've heard everybody else makes with crypto. And you can learn from people who have made the mistakes and stayed in the game afterwards, because you don't have to learn by burning your fingers. You can hear about other people saying, well, actually I touched the stove once and it was hot, and actually I got a little bit of a burn from it. So yeah, that's what we do. And again, you can just join the Discord server if you want to kind of dip your toes in and kind of see what we're about. But you don't get access to the psychology, to the technical analysis, to the astrological insights. You just get access to the community, to other people, to being able to chat with people, which is maybe where what's right for you at the moment. Vanessa's was just taking care of our lovely daughter here, so she's back on to say hi and to just be a part of this right now, because Vanessa and Micah are actually offering something this weekend that we need to chat a little bit about. So I'm going to let them speak about it.
Micah, would you like to go first?
Yeah, well, we're very excited to have a 2-day workshop where we will guide people from scratch to store Bitcoin in a safe place and also to transact from there. We will what is crypto, how does it work, what is a wallet, everything you need to know so you can do it yourself and you have enough understanding. So you're not just blindly putting money into crypto. And we'll also pay attention to privacy and security, to stress-free ways to invest. Yeah, Vanessa, we will also address the blocks that come up. Maybe you can talk about that.
Yes, so we're going to be on Friday, which is the first day. I will be speaking about money blocks and how to really step into prosperity we're really going to spend a lot of time and really go slow so we can really dive deep into the root cause of these blocks and work as a collective in community with the other women to really shift through these scarcity mindsets or fears that can come up around the world of crypto, because sometimes it can be such an unfeminine thing to do, this crypto space. And you really want to empower more women that it is a space that is very innovative, and we can do it in a feminine way and in a feminine touch as well. So yeah, that's this Friday and Saturday. And
we also have
the link. Oh, there it is. Yes.
Yeah, and we also have a Signal group, so we stay connected, and there can be questions asked, and we will respond and help one another.
And I'm amazed at the number of women who have joined just for having women's community around money. You know, that's been quite interesting to see. A lot of women who took it before, they want to come back just for the community. You know, they've already learned how to do the stuff, but they want to be back to be part of it, be part of women empowering other women with an area that, you know, typically creates a lot of problems, not just for women, but for people. But when women get together, I feel like I see this in Vanessa and the work that Vanessa and Micah do. Just the frequency increase and the confidence increase and the empowerment increase. And I think that's a great name, Empowering Women Financially, because it takes care of this area that is, like you say, very unfeminine. And for people that don't want to be looking at charts and nerding out like Nick and I, you know, this is a good way to dip your toes in. And maybe later you will learn the skills and you'll be interested in doing a little bit of charting. And then maybe you'll be some hotshot trader down the road. You don't know unless you try. And this is a very good entry point for a lot of people. So yeah, we've got that in addition. So we've really got something for everyone. You know, for the slightly more experienced crypto people, the Octave Leap Crypto Community and the Discord server is excellent. And for newbies, you know, empowering women financially. There is something else too. I just wanted to say that for people that want to actually deepen their trading skills and learn more about trading and getting personalized support, Nick actually offers one-on-one coaching for crypto trading. And so he offers this by Zoom. And so the link to where you can sign up for that is in the description below. So if you're interested in, you know, maybe something that's tailored to you and coming up with a trading strategy that works for you, and again, learning in a way that is, you know, based on someone with 15 years of experience with trading, then that's a place you should go. And so, you know, we've really got something for everyone here. And what we want to really emphasize is let's do this as a team. We work as a team. You know, there's 6 of us, sorry, Kuhn's on vacation right now, 6 of us that are contributing to making sure we all make it through this incredible time in history with economic sovereignty intact. And doing that through crypto, and, you know, being able to do projects like Nick is doing, where you can use crypto to invest in, you know, reforestation or building some form of community in your life, or a garden, or whatever it is. And crypto can allow us to do that. The promise of it hasn't changed. We just have to navigate the complexities of markets and speculation and other people's emotions and world events. You know, it's like taking a journey up the mountain in many ways. And it's much easier to get up the mountain if you have the right Sherpa helping you out along the way. Does anybody else have anything to say from this? We're getting a lot of lovely comments here. I'm really grateful for the people that have joined us. We did have one question that somebody asked. It says, hey, I'm here from London and have a question regarding Nimic. Does anyone have any practical experience using it? And I think I don't personally use Nimic, but I think, Micah, you do have some experience with using Nimic, correct?
Yeah, I have set up a few wallets of Nimic, and I know everything to do with Nimic. So we'll also address it in the workshop, by the way.
Yeah, that one comes up a lot because Jacqueline's chosen to use the Nimic wallet for donations on her website. So a lot of people are interested in working with Nimic as a result of that. Okay, that was a question we had. Anybody from the team want to have any final thoughts before we conclude this incredible gathering?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed having a nice discussion with everybody, sharing what I do It's I'm very excited about it, and it's a great community to be in, and it even for us as contributors, I do feel the support of the community when I do what I do, when I trade and when I share my trades with everyone, and it's I think it's where it's all going. I think we need to have more of that. Yeah, I'm very glad and grateful I'm part of it.
Thanks, Nick. All right, Alex, go ahead.
Just one thing I wanted to mention was what I love about this call is the same thing I love about the Discord server is and the community. It's a holistic view of things. It's not just one little silo. It's taking all these different viewpoints, these different senses of intelligence, and putting them together for something that's holistic and integrated. So very excited for where it's going to head.
Great. And, I couldn't do it without somebody like Micah, because for a lot of beginners, I'm very intimidating. I move at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and Micah has a way of really gracefully bringing people on and making them feel supported. And, it is that adding that feminine touch and doing it from a holistic perspective. And it's not just a bunch of dudes talking about scalping Bitcoin or coming up with these crazy trading strategies. There is this holistic thing. There's something for everyone. And, Pippa, again, she's been just contributing a lot of wonderful comments today. She says, thanks, you. Great to get back to the community. I had a bit of break after the scare of Luna, but I'm determined to feel secure about crypto. And we're here to help, through Octave Leap, through the free stuff we post on our YouTube channel. So make sure you like and subscribe this, through the Discord server, which you can join for free, or if you want to be part of the paid thing, or, empowering women financially. There's something for everyone. And we try to do it as affordably as possible so everybody can be included, because that's very important with this. We know what kind of an economic backdrop we're dealing with right now, and we want to include everyone or make it as accessible as possible. And I just want to say this before we conclude, and that is we're going to do these every month. The last Tuesday of every month, we're going to have a little gathering of the crypto tribe. We're going to bring on guests. So next month, we've got 2 guys who are building an abundance machine using crypto. So it's a mix of coding and trading. And the point of this is actually an automated trading process that builds wealth for community projects. And that is the beautiful thing, is that this is automated. So, we do manual trading, and I will never stop doing that, but an automated system that can work in the background and generate wealth to reinvest into things like, reforestation projects or community projects of different types. So we're going to be bringing you, everybody that listens to this, we're going to bring you the coolest high vibe stuff happening in crypto. And we're going to keep committed to doing this once a month for everyone. Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure. This is a lot of fun. This even blew my expectations out of the water. So I got to say thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And we will see you in a month. And I'll see you next week, because next week we're talking about the power of water with Adam Sussman. He's a homeopathic doctor who infuses water with frequencies that do all sorts of incredible things. So do not miss that episode of the Octave Leap podcast. Take care.
This is Octave Leap. Innovation.